All right, today's lesson is using the distributive property to solve equations. So just taking a step back, we looked at solving equations the other day and the whole idea of a balance where one side is equal to the other. And I think if you guys really use this visualization to work on these problems, it's going to help you because I'm going to show you a couple mistakes that I saw when doing this. All right, so first of all, on this one here, all right, so I see a lot of people starting right. But this is what happens now is people are trying to get rid of the one over here. And what they're doing is they're always adding what is there. So they add the 2 over here, and then they think that's cancel out. That doesn't cancel out. That actually equals 4x, all right? You only add when you're given a negative number, all right? You always have to do the opposite. That's not the opposite of what is there, all right? So that's not how you do it, all right? You have to subtract 2x from both sides. All right, so that makes a huge difference when you're trying to solve, so please be careful there. All right, the other type of problem that was giving some people some difficulty was this. All right, so after you start, so let's look at this now as a balance beam, right? You have to keep things on separate sides. So I have people moving everything over to the right, and there's no equal sign. That means the balance beam is going to always be down on that one side. All right, so this is what I had. All right, so I had people starting right. So they said, okay, I have a negative here. Let's move that over there. So let's do the opposite. All right, so that was a good start. All right, so a lot of you guys did that. And this is why this is kind of nice here. You can put it on the beam. All right, so 10x is here. All right, this is going to take care of itself. All right, but now what happened is people moved this over here with the 16. You can't do that. All right, because now the balance is going to be completely flipped on this side. You have to move the 16 over to this side. All right, so that equal sign stays here. All right, so you need to cancel out the 16, not cancel out the 14, like many of you guys were doing. All right, so this is how I do this. All right, so once I do that, this cancels out. I'm left only with 10x, which is good. And now on this side, I have negative 14 plus negative 16, or two numbers added with the same side, right? So this is what we have, negative 30 on this side. So I'm balanced now. Now I have to figure out what x is, and I do that by dividing by 10. And then the last common mistake is after people were dividing, they were saying that this was positive 3. All right, so x becomes 1. 10 divided by 10 is 1. 30 divided by 10, all right, you could cross out the zeros. 3 divided by 1 is 3, but look at that negative sign. So it's negative 3 divided by 1. So it's negative 3, all right? So please be careful, those little things. A lot of people forgot that. That's where that's coming from, all right? So make sure that you're using the right side. All right, today's lesson, we're going to use the distributive property. So it's going to start simple at the start, and then we're going to get back to our balancing equations. All right, so what this means is we need to kind of pass out our numbers accordingly. And you've seen a lot of problems like this before with a number outside the parentheses. So this is what you do. All right, so it means multiply, of course. And the reason why there's not an x there is because it's going to confuse people. Because if you're timesing by an x, that's going to make that x squared, which we don't have in this case. So instead of using an x anymore, they just put it together in terms of the operation. You put something next to one another, that means you're going to times it by that. So now what it means is basically this, all right? So it means we have two of these. It means we have 2x plus 6, all right? So this is one way to look at it, okay? So that's on the left side, all right? So you could look at it like that, cross that off, and then just add going down. Right, there's an easier way to do that, of course, and that is using the distributive property. And that means you pass out the 2 on the outside, and this is how you do it, okay? So you start with the first number here, you times 2 times x, and now you add, you keep the symbols the same. Now you do 2 times the outside number, which is 2 times 6, which is 12. Rest of it equals, okay, now you solve. All right, so now I'm going to get rid of the 12 on both sides. Once I do that, I have negative 8 equals 2x. All right, now I need to divide by both sides by 2. I do that. Negative 8 divided by 2 is negative 4. So that's how you do that one there, okay? So you do inside and then you do outside. Let's do one more like that. All right, so take a look here. You have 4 times the inside, 4 times x, plus 4 times the outside, 4 times 5, which is 20. And now I go like this. And now I need to cancel out the 20 on both sides. Once I do that, I get 17 here, 4x on this side, divide both sides by 4. Kind of a messy problem because I have improper fraction, but once I do that, I'll get 4 remainder 1, 4, and 1/4. Keep the denominators the same. All right, and the other type of problem that sometimes gives students trouble is this. Where are we here? This one. We have negative number. All right, so here we're going to distribute again. Negative 3 times x. And now we're going to do negative negative. That's going to be negative 3 times negative 2. Okay, so 2 negative numbers make positive. So that's, you see the little dashes, they're going to become a plus sign. All right, so plus 6 equals 12. All right, so just be really, really careful there when you're timesing by negatives going across. All right, and then the last type of problem is ones that we worked on before. This is now using the distributive property and then setting each side equal and then solving for the variable. So this is a combination of the last 2 days. So you need to distribute out first. So get that down below. So that would be 6x first, and then now plus 30. And now you have to then use your pieces over here. All right, you have your 2 numbers from before. That does not change. And then you keep it here. All right, so our balance beam is here. Now let's solve for each side, and let's solve for x. All right, so we have 6x here, 4x here. We want to move the 4 over there, so we're going to subtract it out. All right, any questions, let me know. Otherwise, pretty straightforward from the property on.